Comparing two forms of the same Vanguard has always been something that I like to do a lot, as it allows me to analyze into each of the unit and see which one is better in which area. And of course, it's like spot a difference but less interesting. Oh.
Emotional damage!
Regardless, we have done Courage vs Ribena Bruce, we have done Green Apple vs Blue Raspberry Aquamarine, Texture Off, and now it's time for Twitch Prime users versus normal Prime users. Wait, normal Twitch users, for the people. And if you guys don't get the nuance there, it's Bastion Accord versus Bastion Prime. The other way around, but you get the point. But yeah, I found that Bastion Accord is a very interesting unit, as it seems to fulfill a role as a replacement to Apex Ruler very well, but at the same time, it seems to be able to stand on its own as its own Vanguard. So today, I'm gonna be talking about which of the build is better in which aspect of it. And if you guys enjoy this kind of content, consider clap that subscribe button, as it will help me tremendously. Without further ado, let's start off with Bastion Accord himself. Over the past 2 years of overdress, we have been seeing a lot of Bastionite getting a several retrained version regardless of whether it is a mask version or not. And for the non-mask retrained version, one thing is very clear for each of them, and that is the fact that each of them play extremely differently from the original counterpart. Vitamin Bruce became more battle focused compared to its original counterpart. Aquamarine became completely different playstyle as it focused on restanding instead of giving power. And of course, you have seen with Regis which changed from a defensive deck into an offensive deck. However, Bastion Accord is different compared to his peers in the sense that not only he doesn't introduce a new way to play the same deck, he actually improved upon it. So instead of plus 2k to all the grade 3s on the field, he plus 5k to only the grade 3 Vanguard in the front row and give them resist. And instead of you have to drive check into a grade 3 to actually restand a rear guard and plus them 10k, this card literally just stand a rear guard for free. And on top of that, you can just counter blast one, discard one Bastion to have that stand Vanguard perform additional drive check. It's very similar to how classic Smosh is now back on their channel, in a sense that it still feels the same, but it feels modernized. And that is the best analogy I can give it to Accord. It actually adjusts the Bastion original playstyle to be a little bit more fitting towards the current meta. And that is why I said that there is now two different separate builds, and that is Bastion Accord as a boss unit and Prime as a boss unit. And despite having an extremely similar playstyle, both of the deck does have two factors that are different from one another, and that is the ratio of the grade 3 you're actually running and persona right. As I mentioned earlier with Bastion Accord, flexibility is the key for this deck, and if you decided to make it a boss unit, this means that a lot of cards you can actually run in the deck now can be non-grade 3, regardless of whether it is gonna be a generic card or a Bastion specific support. A good example for these units are Unfiend Sky Dragon and Knight of Heavily Signed Welfleece. Unfiend Sky Dragon helps you to fetch for Bastion in the earlier part of the game, but Welfleece works as a defensive unit where it does move your grade 3 on the field into the card circle and give them shield value, allowing you to actually utilize the unit that does give a shield value like Sages and Grandeur Edge. The same couldn't be said for Prime due to the fact that his deck is still heavily reliant on the grade 3, so you can't really run this kind of minor but actually quite useful support. However, the grade 3 the deck still rely on are getting better and better, especially with cards like Sages and Grandeur Edge is currently in the Bastion arsenal right now. Moving on to the matter of persona right, there is also another two factors that make the two builds actually differ, and that is frequency and price. You see, if you decided to go with Bastion Accord as a boss unit with the Apex Ruler as a side, this means that you have a consistent persona right target, as Accord is also treated as Apex Ruler Bastion, making the deck actually very similar to what you would do with Hexa Orb in general. On the other hand, you have Bastion Prime, which with the access of Lobron can technically take advantage of persona riding, but that also requires a lot of resource, which can make things a little bit iffy. However, Prime does have an edge over Accord in a sense that the deck still have access to Forbidor regular piece. As you all know, Forbidor allow you to search up to 2 grade 3 or 4 with different names. If it is a grade 3, call to the field. If it's a grade 4, add it to hand. This actually allow you to guarantee a cost because of Bastion Accord, which is actually something that Prime does have an edge over if you decided to play pure grade 3 Bastion build. However, both of the decks still have access to cards like Deribria and, as I mentioned, Unfeed Sky Dragon, which still help you to fetch for Bastion, but Forbidor is still the best card to search for this unit. And also, what Prime doesn't have an edge over is the price. Let's be real here, running Prime and Accord together is at least more than $100 in investment already. So I can see a lot of people just prefer to go with Accord with Apex Ruler, which is a lot more cheaper compared to running Prime. So, which is the better build for Bastion? And the answer to that is there is no better build realistically, as each of the build does have its own benefit and its own demerit, which are very different from one another. But if we decided to go with statistic in general, then I would have to say Bastion Prime because it just topped the whole region recently. So that is pretty much my thought on different build of Bastion Accord. What do you guys think? Do leave down in the comments below whether you guys have your own way of building Bastion or not, especially this is such a flexible deck to build aside from, you know, running a lot of grade 3s. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself. This is McMegane signing out.